tonight as the surge in COVID cases threatens to crush overtaxed doctors and nurses.
I've worked all over the country. This by far, the worst that I've ever seen.
A possible second shot in the arm as the U.S. government weighs whether to approve another vaccine.
Plus, at the White House and on the campaign trail,
we will never stop fighting for the right to life.
The vice president citing the defense of life as a Trump White House legacy and a reason to vote in the Georgia runoffs.
And off-key, why a Christian music artist was pulled from a popular televised New Year's Eve celebration.
All this and more tonight on Faith Nation.
America on the verge of a second vaccine. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Faith Nation. I'm Jenna Bratter.
Good evening, and I'm John Jessup. Well, as the number of coronavirus deaths hits staggering levels nationwide, an FDA advisory board considers approving a second drug maker's vaccine in the fight against COVID-19.
Daily death totals attributed to the virus continue to top 3,000, and more than 112,000 remain in the hospital tonight. Senior Washington correspondent Tara Mergener is here with the latest. Tara?
Well, the numbers aren't good. More hope may be on the horizon as the Moderna vaccine could be rolling out soon.
A key part of FDA's mission is to evaluate new therapies and determine which are safe and effective for their intended uses.
Moderna's version is similar to the Pfizer vaccine, which started shipping cross-country this week.
From an efficacy, safety point of view, they're nearly identical.
And help is clearly needed, with Wednesday marking the deadliest day of the pandemic yet. In California, 53,000 new cases popping up in just 24 hours.
It's like being in war. I've never seen so many code blues all in one shift.
COVID also taking a toll on the world stage, with French President Emmanuel Macron testing positive and experiencing symptoms. Here at home, Vice President Mike Pence and President-elect Joe Biden plan to get the shot to encourage Americans to get vaccinated. So will former Presidents Obama, Bush, and Clinton. As hope grows to control the virus,
we're making progress, that's all I'll say.
Signs on Capitol Hill that help with the financial impact could also be forthcoming.
I'm heartened by our discussions and our progress.
After months of failed attempts, lawmakers say they are close to another COVID relief package. The roughly $900 billion bipartisan bill would provide $300 more a week in federal unemployment benefits and $600 in direct stimulus payments to most Americans. The compromise also includes eviction protections and billions for small businesses and vaccine distribution. Though the amount is roughly half of what was proposed earlier this year, this is still said to be the closest lawmakers have come to a second round of COVID relief. Right now, 20 million Americans are on some form of government assistance. An estimated 50 million will go hungry this Christmas while waiting for Congress to take action. In Washington, I'm Tara Mergener, CBN News.
Thank you, Tara. Well, Vice President Pence and other members of the White House took a victory lap over multiple pro-life accomplishments. Pence highlighted how American dollars have stopped going overseas to pay for abortions under President Trump's 4-year term. They've also installed more than 200 pro-life judges on the bench and helped deal a financial blow to America's #1 abortion provider.
I had the honor of casting the tie-breaking vote in the United States Senate to allow every state in America to defund Planned Parenthood.
And White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany made it personal, talking about holding her newborn daughter as she took on her new role.
I started to cry because I was like, I'm going to miss my little baby, and my tears started to fall on her face, and all of a sudden, she let out, I swear it was her first smile. And it was God's way of saying, you go do what you need to do. And I'll tell you what this president did when he first offered me the job. He said this, is your daughter going to be okay? Because he is a president that supports moms. He's a president that supports life. Babies are babies at the moment of conception. No excuses. And it is not about a woman's right to choose. It is about a human being's right to live.
I know what all of you know as well, that he who said, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, is about life. And we do well in this movement to always remind ourselves that when we make the cause for life our cause, we make his work on this earth our very own.
Well, Vice President Pence is also reportedly planning an overseas trip after the new year. Though the White House has yet to confirm details of the trip, multiple media outlets are reporting the vice president will travel to Bahrain, Israel, and Poland. Traveling to the Middle East will give him the opportunity to tout the Trump administration's work on the Abraham Accords and keeping their promise to move the embassy to Jerusalem. This will be Pence's first trip abroad since the pandemic spread to the United States.
And joining us now, David Brody, CBN chief political analyst. David, there's some reporting to suggest that Vice President Pence is skipping town to escape the heat, if you will, after presiding over the confirmation of Biden's win in Congress come January. Other outlets are saying it's an opportunity to highlight the administration's work in the Middle East. David, what's your take?
John, Jenna, there's no heat for the vice president to take. He'll be the president of the Senate on January 6th. He'll be the one reading the electoral votes. If there's an objection by a U.S. congressman, most likely Mo Brooks, if there's an objection by a U.S. senator, possibly Ted Cruz, maybe Rand Paul, then it'll go to the House and Senate chambers. There's nothing Mike Pence has to run away from. He doesn't need to go abroad to escape the heat. I'm not quite sure why critics are saying he would escape the heat. The only uncomfortable part of this is that he would have to read the final result, which is that Joe Biden received more electoral votes than Donald Trump and is the new president of the United States. But he's reading it. I mean, that's his job as president of the Senate. There's no heat at all involved in that.
David, how much of the Trump White House's legacy is tied to Israel and the Middle East?
Oh, a whole bunch of it. Over half, I think you can be sure on that. I mean, look, just go down the list of countries, right? I mean, you've got Bahrain and Morocco and the UAE, and I can go on. And now we're starting to find out of CBN News reporting that's even Saudi Arabia allowing or making sure that there's not anti-Semitic language in their textbooks. Look, Jared Kushner and many others in that White House have been working on Saudi Arabia for a very long time. So if you kind of take the whole kit and caboodle of what they've been doing in the Middle East, it is a huge legacy for this administration. Remember, his first trip abroad, and CBN News was there, was in Saudi Arabia and Israel and Rome, and he did that kind of the big tour of the Middle East and made it kind of a faith tour, if you will.
Yeah, we remember that well. I think you were on that trip, David. What about President Trump's legacy on the issue of abortion? Are his pro-life accomplishments in danger of being at least somewhat undone with the incoming Biden administration?
So the answer on that is no with a little bit of yes. Let's start with the small yes part. Mexico City policy. We know that's going to be reversed by the Biden administration. This is about abortion money going overseas. They will allow that. The Biden administration will now allow that. That's typically what happens when administrations change over. And once again, that's because it was an executive order that the president signed. Having said that, the big no on all of this is what was pointed out earlier about those 200 pro-life, or those 200 judges, many of them pro-life, the Supreme Court with an Amy Coney Barrett and a Brett Kavanaugh and a Neil Gorsuch. So, that's legacy stuff. So from an abortion standpoint, from a pro-life standpoint, Donald Trump's biggest legacy beyond the Middle East is probably going to be the Supreme Court and the courts overall, especially at the federal appeals court level.
David, back to our top story. As Tara Mergener reported, it looks like Congress may be passing a relief bill after all. What isn't included is money for states and local governments, nor protections against COVID lawsuits for businesses. Where does this leave the relief effort in January with a new administration?
Well, if you notice, those two parts that were not included were things that Mitch McConnell Republicans did not want in the bill. And guess what? They're not going to be in the bill because Mitch McConnell, the Republicans, still control the Senate. We'll see how it goes in January, and then it could be a different deal. But look, I think there'll just be more work to be done, probably more in the spring as it relates to COVID-19. But at that point, you'll have a president-elect Joe Biden that won't have that president-elect tag on him most likely anymore. I have to keep caveating it until it's finally official, because remember, the President of the United States is not conceded quite yet.
David Brody with all the disclaimers. Thank you so much, David.
Thanks, David.
Thanks.
Well, a top U.S. general makes a push for peace in Afghanistan with a surprise visit. Army General Mark Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, flew to Doha and met with Taliban negotiators for for 2 hours Tuesday before flying to Kabul to continue peace talks with Afghan President Ashraf Ghani. Milley stressed what he believes is the key to peace, saying, quote, "The most important part of the discussions that I had with both the Taliban and the government of Afghanistan was the need for an immediate reduction in violence. Everything else hinges on that." Well, in New York, a Kenyan man faces multiple charges in an alleged plot to carry out a 9/11-style attack. Authorities say Cholo Abdi Abdullah belongs to Al-Shabaab, an African terror network. They say the 30-year-old planned to hijack a passenger plane and crash it into a U.S. skyscraper. Abdullah attended flight school in the Philippines and was seeking a U.S. visa when he was arrested back in 2019. The indictment also alleges his internet searches included how to breach cockpit doors and information on tall buildings in New York.
Up next, what defense experts are saying about one of the most sophisticated hacks ever, resulting in stolen American secrets.
Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.
This is CBN News Watch.
Thanks for joining us.
Watch breaking news, exclusive stories and programs, credible news reporting.
We show you what's happening in the world and how you can pray about it.
This is CBN News Watch, because truth matters. Weekdays at 5 on the CBN News Channel.
Superbook fans, here's something else you'll love. It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! Whoa!
Millsburg Falls man, come and...
Sorry, pardon me. Sorry, excuse me. Ouch!
Are you getting this?
Earn super points to win daily prizes too, and so much more. Time to get back to my adventures. See you soon. It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
And welcome back. A massive computer hack forced the government to shut down critical networks in our nation's capital this week. SolarWinds, a Texas-based company, was hacked back in March when a number of federal government agencies and large companies installed a software update to their computer networks. The hackers received access to classified materials from agencies like the Departments of Commerce, Agriculture, State, and the Department of Homeland Security cyber arm, among others. The hacking operation has cybersecurity experts extremely worried.
And here to talk about it is Mark Montgomery with the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Mark, it's good to have you this evening. So what do we know? Do we know what type of information was accessed here?
Well, we don't have the specifics yet, and I think one of the hardest parts of the story is that we don't know what we don't know. But I think it's safe to say that emails and data storage on a number of sensitive but unclassified government systems and the proprietary systems of a number of businesses were hacked and the data taken in what appears to be a Russian espionage event.
We're also learning, Mark, that their nuclear agency, or part of the nuclear agency under the Department of Energy, also was compromised. What specifically about this hack has cybersecurity experts worried, and what does this mean for security of some of our nation's most vital digital information that's out there?
Well, you're right. I mean, the number of agencies that we're going to hear about over the next few days is going to expand greatly, and and the names will concern us. And certainly, the National Nuclear Security Agency should concern us. I would remind you that these are unclassified systems, but if you have enough sensitive or unclassified information and you can aggregate it together, sometimes you can reach a level of classification that should be very concerning. The other issue is the download.
Mark, you mentioned. Mark, you did mention that this looks like a Russian hack. What is the evidence for that?
Well, right now it's just leaks coming out from different organizations. I would say there are probably only 2 countries that could have carried out something this sophisticated, and that's Russia and China. There has been a similar hack like this in the past by the Russians. And in fact, if you go all the way back to the mid-1990s, they conducted an operation called Moonlight Maze that was a copy of this. It just took over 3 years to download all the information that we feel they got here in about 6 months.
Mark, when you talk about the history of Russia attacking and hacking some of these networks, are there particular hallmarks that people are looking at to kind of be able to pinpoint whether it is a Russia or China or even Iran?
Well, when you try to assess who it is, and this is called attribution, and the United States has not yet attributed this as a Russian attack. But what we would look for is the specific tools that the hackers used, which ISP addresses they jumped through to get to you. And when you look at those together, that tends to leave a fingerprint, a digital fingerprint, that allows you to eventually attribute the attack to a specific country. Usually that takes months. I expect in this case, we'll get the answer in weeks.
Mark, what about retribution? Would the United States respond in any way with a similar attack?
Well, I think when you look at, this is espionage, and classically, when a country conducts espionage against you, you tend to conduct espionage back. You tend not to respond with a kinetic or non-kinetic attack that damages another country's system. However, what you could do is you could do non-military tools such as economic sanctions. You can do law enforcement, but unfortunately, these indictments have almost no effect on a country that doesn't extradite people back to us like Russia. So really, you're looking at sanctions and probably our own espionage back at the systems that were used to exfiltrate our data.
All right, Mark Montgomery with FDD, we really appreciate you coming on to talk about this important story. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you all.
And still ahead, voting your faith. What one group is doing in Georgia to get the faithful to the polls.
When I came to Regent University, it's like the world opened up. I felt like I needed to advance my career and go back to school. Regent was a perfect fit for me. The Regent professors are world-class. You are equipped. The focus of the faculty is on each individual student, whether it's online or in person. You become a part of Regent's family. You carry with you not just the content and the knowledge, but the confidence to understand that we can be significant in the world.
Regent University. Follow your path.
Nigerian Christians in Iran are routinely arrested.
Happily, Christians continue to suffer.
In times of trial and affliction, you need to know the truth.
One of the fastest growing Christian populations in the world.
Join Wendy Griffith and George Thomas for Christian World News.
Young people are the ones who are open to the gospel.
Powerful stories of suffering and hope that affect all Christians. Watch Christian World News, Saturday at 5 p.m.
Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep, you wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
Well, Vice President Mike Pence was in Georgia today, stumping for the two GOP senators heading toward a runoff election in just a few weeks. Pence was at a rally in Columbus where supporters cheered for incumbent Republican Senators David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler. His goal to energize the base to get them to the polls. Both races are extremely tight against Democrats Raphael Warnock and Jon Ossoff. And a lot is at stake. If the GOP loses these two seats, the balance of power in Washington will shift to the Democrats. Pence highlighted major accomplishments, giving the two senators credit.
This week, America witnessed the beginning of the end of the coronavirus pandemic. We made history, and the first coronavirus vaccine is being administered in every state in the union. And David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler were there every single day, putting the health of Georgia first. If his people, who are called by his name, will humble themselves and pray and turn, that he'll do like he's always done in the long and storied history of America. He'll hear from heaven, and he'll heal this land.
And Pence urged the crowd to vote despite doubts they might have about the accuracy of the November election, promising those who vote via absentee will have their ballots counted and that there will be increased election security.
Well, CBN's Mark Martin spoke with Jason Yates of My Faith Votes about their work in Georgia and overall to get people to the polls and vote according to their beliefs. Here's that interview.
Joining us now is Jason Yates with My Faith Votes to talk about the group's work in Georgia. Welcome, Jason.
Thanks so much, Mark.
Your group believes this runoff is not only important to Georgia, but the nation. Besides determining control of the Senate, why does it matter so much?
Yeah, it really matters because when you look at this point in history, this is really the first time that we have an election that is really going to determine in a special way the projection of our nation. And when you look at the different platforms of the parties and look at what's at stake and what they stand for, we just believe that from a faith-based perspective, there's a lot at stake around our values, around where we stand for abortion, where we would take things with the Supreme Court, and it matters. And we don't believe either party should necessarily have full control of taking things more from a power perspective, but that's what we see at stake here, and what's being threatened really from different party platforms.
Tell us about your efforts there in Georgia.
Yeah, we have a lot that we have planned. First, we have a great effort of volunteers from across the nation. We have over 5,000 volunteers that are doing a number of things, primarily writing handwritten postcard messages, sending them to Georgia voters, encouraging them to vote and vote from a place that honors God and honors our biblical values. We're doing that. We are also doing a whole digital marketing campaign called It's Time to Choose. Choosing what's the direction of our nation, where are we headed, and what do they want to see happen, not only in Georgia, but for the nation for years to come. And finally, we are doing a media campaign on radio, on TV, in the newspapers, with messages about what's happening with this election and what people need to know in order to vote.
Jason, there are people of faith supporting both candidates. How does faith override politics in this case, and really where we are as a nation?
Yeah, I think our faith certainly has something essential to contribute to politics. We need to look at what are the values that we stand for. How do we think of life? How do we think of our ability to practice our religion? How do we think about how the government treats people within its communities? It's not easy decisions, and sometimes binary choices are tough. And so we are calling people to pray, to really explore the way candidates, what they represent and how they think about the issues, think biblically about those issues, and pray about those, and then make the very best decision. We know not everybody's going to vote in the exact same way, but I think if they are praying, thinking, and then voting, and voting from a biblical worldview, we'll get God-honoring outcomes.
All right, Jason Yates with My Faith Votes. Thanks for your time, Jason.
Appreciate it, Mark. Thanks.
The New Year's flap over Christian artist Lauren Daigle's participation in a worship rally. We explain when Faith Nation returns.
Christians around the world are standing with the Israelis. But why? In CBN's free magazine, Friends of Israel, you'll discover why Christians are supporting the Jewish state, how Israel is fulfilling prophecy as a light to the nations, and ways you can pray for the people of Israel. Israel needs the support of friends like you. Call now or go to cbn.com to get your free copy of Friends of Israel.
Heavenly Father, we do thank you for the work of your Spirit, Lord God, with this movement of getting the Bible,
yes,
Lord, into public schools.
Watch The Prayer Link, Tuesday nights at 6:30.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Get Protect Your Sleep and live your best life with innovative information from 5 leading sleep experts.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
Discover a sleep-enhancing bedtime routine, how to put insomnia to rest, learn how to relieve pain that disturbs sleep, and much more in Protect Your Sleep.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Don't miss out on this brand new series.
Grammy Award-winning and Dove Award-winning Christian music artist, that is, Lauren Daigle, has come under fire from the mayor of New Orleans for singing at what's called Let Us Worship rally in the French Quarter.
Yeah, the mayor really taking it out on Daigle. She went as far as writing to the producers of ABC's Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve, saying Daigle shouldn't appear on the show because of her singing at that worship rally. New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell believes Daigle and others at the rally put the people of New Orleans at risk. But other political leaders in the state, they do not agree with her, including Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser, who says Daigle was riding her bike, and she also lives near the event when someone recognized her and asked her to sing. Louisiana Attorney General Jeff Landry agrees that Cantrell went too far, especially after the city of New Orleans allowed a different kind of protest back in June.
We'll see how it all rounds out. Thanks for watching.